Hello, Abnormal Investigations. Got another drop for you today. Hope y'all enjoy it and enjoyed the double drop yesterday. Those were some pretty intense stories, or encounters as I like to call them. And I got one for you today. So I hope y'all enjoy this one, and we'll go ahead and just get right into it. I think it's a pretty good one. I live in a small rural town in Pennsylvania. My house is located deep within the woods, and my nearest neighbor is roughly 4 to 5 miles from me. Let me start off by saying I love the forest. I love nature itself, and as a kid, my grandma would always tell me that the woods would protect me. Yeah, I know, sounds kinda odd, but I kinda believed her. I'll tell you why later in the story. She was also Native American, which means she believed in lots of supernatural stuff. To get things started, the woods near my house had a trail which led from my backyard into the dense part of the forest. Most days I would bring along my dog Zero, a black pit bull who was nothing but loving toward anyone he met, especially me. I did it so often that it became a part of my daily schedule. I would go out around 4 to 7, bring my dog and sit on his big flat rock that he liked, and I would be located near the end of the trail and usually smoke, think about life, and play with Zero. I should have mentioned this first, but every time I would walk in, I would feel as if someone or something was watching me from afar, and Zero would sometimes look into the wilderness as if he saw something. But I can assure you, I got the sense that I was being watched over, dare I even say, even protected at times. Even when I got that feeling the forest was alive, it felt as if everything there was residing peacefully. I would sometimes ask my father what kind of animals did he think resided in our part of the woods. He just mentioned the basic things such as deer, squirrels, your occasional bear or two, but nothing I should be highly afraid of. He also mentioned that since Zero was with me, he would protect me. So every day I would walk in these woods, joyful and full of peace, and not a single drop of worriness. Then it happened. This incident took place 3 years ago in the month of February. I got out of work and was eager to smoke and relax in the forest for a bit. By the time I got home, the sun was already setting. But I shouldn't have. But I decided to still go, since it wouldn't be the first time I'd ever done this. I grabbed my pack of cigarettes, my dog, and a pocket knife I brought with me, which I only used to carve things into trees and such as, just sit there and relax. By the time I got out of my house, the moon was out and there was a graceful breeze in the air. I turned on my flashlight and started on my small journey. But after a few steps, I heard my dad call out my name. I turned back thinking he just got home, but soon realized his car wasn't there. I was a bit confused, but I shrugged it off on me being exhausted from work as I was walking toward the flat rock. Zero seemed a little bit weary. He kept looking around with his ears heightened. I didn't think too much about it, and I kept calling him so he would be closer to me, which he did. At some point during the rock, I did realize that I wasn't getting the feeling that I was being watched, and the woods were really kind of too quiet. The sound of my boots hitting the ground and your occasional twig snap were the only sounds that occupied the night. But I finally got to my spot, sat down, and started smoking. Roughly 30 minutes passed, and I'm petting Zero, who was acting a little strange. I already kind of got the idea that something was focused on me. I wasn't sure, maybe on a single portion of the area. The area was surrounded by trees and a cluster of bushes in the bottom. I pointed my flashlight to that area, thinking that I would see a deer or something, but I saw nothing. I turned my head so I can use my free hand to pet Zero. As soon as I turned my head, a feeling rushed over me, something I've never felt during my time in the woods. A feeling of pure fear. And then I hear it. "Brian, where are you?" It sounded just like my dad, but something was wrong. It sounded unnatural, as if someone had recorded his voice and started playing it. I turned my head, and in that moment the hairs on the back of my neck started standing up because a light appearing through the tree in front of me. I can see half of a body, roughly 7 to 8 feet tall. A head which looked like a deer, but the skin was falling off, revealing a skeletal snout, antlers that looked deformed. Unnatural sharp teeth, all in equal size, filled its mouth, one arm gripping onto the tree so long that it looked like it could have easily passed its knees, with hands that showed long sharp claws and its eyes yellow and reflecting the light from my flashlight, while at the same time its sharp gaze felt like it was piercing my soul. Then it spoke to me, something that will haunt me for the rest of the years. "There you are." I was going to book it until Zero went crazy and lunged head first toward this creature. The creature moving back behind the tree, away from my sight, and Zero heading right for it. I stood in shock. I couldn't believe my dog ran right toward this thing. Barking and scuffling soon filled my hearing. Then a slight thud and a pure silence filled it afterwards. I knew then that my dog had perished. Nothing but tears and complete, utter fear filled my body. I was frozen. I couldn't run. Then out from the bushes, Zero had come back. But instead of running to me, it looked like that creature slid him toward me. And what I saw scared me. My Zero, my best friend. He had given his life to protect me. There he was, lifeless, with a large gash on the side of his body. I panned my flashlight back toward the tree, and once again, with its arm across the tree, it stood there looking at me. All I could do was shake and cry. Then it made this awkward movement as if it was about to lunge right at me. Then something happened that will make me question my sanity, my existence, everything. A loud howl-like sound manifested from behind me. It sounded like 100 wolf howls all at once. I told myself, no, please don't tell there's another one of those creatures out here. I heard a twig break in front of me. I glared right back at the tree. The creature started walking away and just simply vanished into the darkness, disappeared into the weeds and into the brush. I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed. My hearing was fainting. My eyesight was going dim. And at that point, I blacked out. The only thing I remember is my dad crying his eyes out and shaking me when I finally gained proper awareness. He grabbed me and he hugged me. When I realized what happened the night before, I started shaking and my anxiety was in overdrive, and to make matters worse, I can still see Zero's body on the floor. I looked around and saw no tracks on the ground to see if what I saw yesterday was indeed something not known to man. But since it was raining, it had washed away any tracks there were. Fast forward later into the day. I'm in my living room, Zero's body covered in a blanket, and my dad asking me what happened, and he told me that the police were on their way. He kept checking if I had any wounds on me, and kept telling him I'm fine while I was tearing up. I was more worried about my dead dog, my best friend. I lied to the cops. and him saying that a random hungry bear came and Zero gave his life for me, and that the bear must have ran off injured or something. Fast forward to December 1st, I had buried Zero near the flat rock with my dad, and we moved to the city. We had a get-together with family, and I was somehow moving on with what had happened. But I still get these nightmares about the creature, and it always ends with that howl waking me up. Finally, my grandma was there. I haven't truly told no one, but I decided to tell her. We sat down, and I told her everything while holding back a few tears. She hugged me and believed me. She also mentioned that the creature I saw was most likely a Wendigo. I had no idea what it was, but the description she gave me resembled the exact same thing I saw that night. A vile creature that looks like a decomposed deer with falling off flesh, sharp teeth, and claws that has the ability to mimic people's voices in order to lure them into the painful demise. But the moment I mentioned that there could have been two of them because of the howl, she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "That wasn't the Wendigo. That was the woods protecting you." What she said will still stick with me for the rest of my life. I did some thinking to see if I could possibly identify my mysterious protector, because there was something else in the woods that day. It couldn't be the woods itself. Something much more intimidating made that Wendigo back away from me. Then I realized all those times I felt as if something was watching over me, protecting me. Was it in my mind, or was something truly protecting me? The Native American creature that can intimidate a Wendigo is a werewolf or a dogman. We call them the same thing. Was a werewolf or a dogman protecting me that day, and is that what saved my life against a Wendigo? And if so, why would it save my life? Thank you for sharing my story, Mike. I would like some of your ideas. Well, really all I have is just my opinion. As far as it mimicking your voice, man, I've heard that 1,000 times, and people always say that it sounds like a recording that was played back. I know that happened at my granny's, and I've heard it happen too, that different family members, people thought were outside yelling for them. That happened a lot, so yeah, I do believe they're able to mimic our voices. As far as killing your dog, I know there's a lot of people that do lose their dogs to these creatures, but, you know, our dogs are truly our best friend, and our dogs, they go into defense mode, and they try to protect us, and they're fighting a creature that's just going to absolutely overpower them. It's sad that people are losing their animals to these creatures. You know, I don't even know how you would go about protecting your animal if you walk in the woods with your animal, because the first instinct of your animal is going to be to protect you, and then the first instinct of that predator is going to be is to kill the domesticated animal, possibly eat it. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think is the best thing to do? Do you not take your dog with you? Do you just stay at camp and stay out of the deep woods with your dog? What do y'all think are some solutions to this? I know that down at my granny's many times, I mean, we all had our names called. We've heard it laugh. We heard it whistle. It stood right on the sidewalk and told my granny to come here and called her by name. But what she was seeing wasn't Wendigos, guys. This was what she called a Sasquatch. It was tall. It wasn't as big as what most people say, but it was tall, and it was like a Sasquatch-looking creature, but the creature had somewhat of a muzzle. So have these creatures been misidentified all this time? If you talk to the shamans, like whenever I spoke to the shamans, they'll tell you that each one of these animals come from the same thing. You just have different ones. You have the dogs that the DNA was messed up. You have the cats. You have the wolves, the coyotes. You've got the bear. I mean, you have the apes. You have all kinds of animals that have all been, their DNA been polluted, that has caused this unnatural offspring, this creature, which I believe to be part Nephilim. If all this is happening, there's no telling how many weird things are actually down there in our woods. How many different creatures are down there. And what you could truly, unexpectedly run into one day in the woods is almost frightening. Thank you for listening, guys. Until next time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening, and please smash that like button.